The year was 1944. The world was at war. Across Europe, the Allied armies were pushing east after the success of D-Day, trying to drive the Nazis back toward Germany. But Hitler's forces were still powerful, deadly, and deeply entrenched. The Allies had one problem. They didn't have enough men to cover all their fronts. If the Germans discovered their weak spots, they could strike back, split the Allied line, and reverse the momentum of the war. To solve this, the US Army came up with an idea so unconventional, so unbelievable, that it sounds like something out of a movie. What if they could create an army out of thin air? It began with the creation of the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, an elite top-secret unit of just 1,100 men. Their mission: to trick the Germans into believing they were tens of thousands of soldiers strong. Their tools: paint, fabric, sound, light, and imagination. They would come to be known as the Ghost Army. The Ghost Army was unlike any other unit in military history. Instead of battle-hardened soldiers, it was filled with artists, architects, designers, and sound engineers. Men who had once studied at the Art Institute of Chicago, Yale, and Pratt. Many of them had been painters and sculptors before the war. Some would go on to become famous after it, names like Bill Blass, the fashion designer, and Ellsworth Kelly, the artist whose work would hang in museums around the world. But in 1944, their canvas was Europe, and their art was deception. Their mission was clear. They had to create fake armies to mislead the Nazis. Wherever real Allied troops moved, the Ghost Army would appear somewhere else, setting up inflatable tanks, fake artillery, and entire camps that didn't exist. They built illusions of war, convincing, dangerous illusions. Imagine driving down a French road and seeing hundreds of Sherman tanks lined up in a field, engines humming, soldiers moving, trucks rumbling. You'd believe you were facing an entire armored division. But if you looked closer, you'd see they were made of rubber. Inflatable tanks, 293 pounds of air and fabric, so realistic that even Allied pilots mistook them for real from above. But visuals were only one layer of the deception. The Ghost Army also created soundscapes of war, using massive speakers mounted on half-tracks. They blasted the sounds of tanks moving, soldiers shouting, and machinery grinding, all recorded at Fort Knox before the war. Engineers could mix the audio live, creating the illusion of thousands of men preparing for battle. You could hear it echo for miles. If you were a German scout at night, listening through the fog, you'd swear there was a whole army moving just beyond the trees. And to complete the illusion, they went even further. They forged fake radio transmissions, mimicking the communication chatter of entire divisions. Operators used real army code to simulate messages from units that didn't exist. They even created fake patches, paperwork, and shoulder insignias. So if German spies or civilians saw them, they'd believe these men were part of major divisions like the 6th Armored or the 75th Infantry. Everything was built to sell the lie, a lie that could save thousands of real lives. Their first major operation took place shortly after D-Day in northern France. It was called Operation Brest. Their job was to draw German attention away from the real troops advancing elsewhere. The Ghost Army rolled out hundreds of inflatable tanks, set up fake artillery batteries, and created makeshift headquarters with fake generals. At night, the sound crews filled the air with mechanical rumble and troop noise. The Germans took the bait. Their reconnaissance planes reported heavy Allied armor in the area, troops that didn't exist. They redirected resources, giving the real divisions space to move. It worked better than anyone could have hoped. In September 1944, the Ghost Army performed one of their most dangerous missions, Operation Bettenborgi. Just 1,100 Ghost soldiers had to convince the Germans that over 20,000 American troops were defending a key section of the line in Luxembourg. They positioned inflatable tanks across open fields, painted fake tank tracks into the mud, and broadcast engine noises day and night. German spies reported massive Allied reinforcements. Hitler's commanders held back their attack. In reality, there was no army there, just the ghosts. That deception alone saved the lives of thousands. But their most critical and dangerous mission came in March 1945, near the Rhine River, the final push into Germany. The plan: draw German fire away from the Ria crossing at Rheims. The Ghost Army staged a massive fake crossing 10 miles south of the Ria 1. They inflated over 600 dummy vehicles, including artillery and supply trucks. They lit fake campfires and installed bright floodlights to look like a major operation was underway. They even had fake bulldozers building bridges out of painted canvas. The Germans took the bait again. They shifted forces toward the Phantom Crossing, leaving the real assault force free to cross the Rhine with minimal resistance. Historians later estimated that the Ghost Army's deception likely saved 30,000 Allied soldiers in that single operation. Throughout their missions, these men operate in near secrecy, always close to the front lines. Often within artillery range, they had no heavy weapons. If discovered, they were defenseless. But they carried out over 20 deception missions from Normandy to the Rhine, and not one was ever exposed by the Germans. Their success remained classified for decades. Not even their families knew what they had done. After the war ended, the Ghost Army was quietly disbanded. The men went home, scattered across America, returning to lives as artists, designers, and teachers. Their sketches, photos, and stories were locked away, marked top secret until the 1990s. When their mission was finally declared, historians were stunned. What they discovered wasn't just a clever trick, it was a masterwork of creativity, courage, and imagination. The Ghost Army proved something powerful, that art could fight war, that imagination could save lives, that deception, used for JIT, could be an act of humanity. In 2022, nearly 80 years later, the United States, Congress finally recognized the Ghost Army with the Congressional Gold Medal for their extraordinary heroism. The citation read, "Their courage and ingenuity saved countless lives and helped secure victory in Europe." They were painters and soundmen, sculptors and engineers, ordinary young men who turned art into armor. They fooled one of the most feared armies in history, and in doing so, they changed the course of the war.